What you think? Clarice, I understand why you consider Mr. Burke to be an asset of our future plans. Unfortunately, while he is an exceptional individual, he's less suitable for any kind of duties you have in mind that may be immediately obvious. I'll explain. Yes, he's been trained as a striker, but Mr. Burke was disqualified for good reason. The, the men we have chosen to be strikers have strict physical requirements, a certain moral flexibility, and the kind of killer instinct you have to be born with, cultivated to a fine degree. A ferocious knack for survival. Mr. Burke certainly has those qualities. He wasn't disqualified for the striker because he lacked them, or because he couldn't wrap his head around the technical aspects of operating the technology. In fact, his performance was exceptional. So I fully agree with you that he's an impressive operative. But strikers, by their very nature, have to be made aware of Project Lifeboat and its purpose, at least on the general level. And that means they have to be able to accept the implications. Unfortunately, Mr. Burke has a deep attraction to his wife, and the fact is that even if we brought Mr. Burke in, that would guarantee a spot for her in the program. To be blunt, we don't need any more nurses, and we already at capacity overall. We need Mr. Burke, but we don't need his wife. Mr. Burke would never accept that, particularly now that Mrs. Burke is pregnant. Therefore, it's vital that he doesn't understand the nature and the scope of the threat we face. As for having him play a role in other aspects of future development, I suspect that despite his seemingly immoral nature, Mr. Burke may have other qualms he's not consciously aware of. If he has ever truly makes a choice between conflicting loyalties, he may take a stand on principle to elect to act against his own best interests. That's not a chance I'd be willing to take. Sir, given the very recent events at the dry docks, I now see exactly what you mean. Clearly, you were right about Burke's loyalties being more fickle than they appear. Of course, we have plenty of unanswered questions about how it came to this. To begin, I don't see why Burke would be involved with Joyce. There's no way he did it all out of some kind of altruistic urge. There has to be more to it. We know Burke didn't divert Joyce's transport, since whereabouts at that time are accounted for. So there has to be somebody else involved too. I'm looking into it. Fucking right, guys. Burke's psyched about smart match. Martin, first of all, I have to register my objections. What are you having me do under the guise of a psyche veil? It's a blatant violation of Liam Burke's documentation confidentiality. The only reason I'm doing this is because you leave me no other choice. Now I recognize that in the world to come, our current rules and legislation, and even our standards of mortality, may no longer be applicable. But we aren't there yet. You and Mr. Serene are placing the long-term mental well-being of hundreds of individuals in my hands. And I'm telling you right now, if they don't trust not only me, but the system that put all of us in this particular position, there's no way we can recover from it. On to Burke. It's my considered professional opinion that the man is a bit of a counter tank. For all the calm exterior, he's under tremendous pressure. I understand your reasoning for pulling him out of the second program, but what you have essentially done is instilling him a sense of echoing doom, or encroaching doom. He doesn't know the specifics, obviously. He didn't make it far enough in the program to be briefed on that. But he knows that we're preparing for a future threat that is somehow related to the flow of time being interrupted. Yeah, it's because the mic's up here. Interrupted. And there are dangers out there. Dangers that we've specifically been training the striker units for. There are men who are content to merely follow orders and let others worry about the consequences. Burke is not one of them. He is willing to commit acts of violence without asking why, but don't mistake that lack of qualms for blind obedience. Burke needs agency. He has a fundamental need to feel in control of his life, and you have put him in a position where there's no longer possible for him. He's good at seeing patterns and drawing accurate conclusions from the facts available to him, and he's deduced, quite correctly, that we're being trained for a specific scenario that Monarch believes will happen. He is also painfully aware of the fact that if and when that scenario arrives, he will not be a part of the solution. He understands the nature of the striker he pursuits, that they are only useful in the zero-state situation. And he understands that such a situation, a man without a striker suit is essentially dead. He doesn't know about the lifeboat protocol, obviously, but if he did, he then also know he's not a part of it. Either way, the bottom line is that he is in a hopeless situation. He fears that the end of the world is coming, and he knows that if it does, the only way he could survive is with the technology of Monarch has denied him access to. He doesn't understand the details or even the exact nature of the end of the world, but that just makes it worse. Fear and lack of understanding breed tremendous anxiety, Mr. Hatch. He may not show it, but believe me, Burke feels it for himself and for his family. It may interest you to know that his wife is pregnant. You can't understand how this adds to the pressure. To be honest, given the parameters we're operating under, I don't know how to resolve this. In Burke, you have a tremendously efficient operative, but you've put him in an impossible position. I believe he will remain effective as long as he doesn't have any reason to believe the scenario he fears is imminent. But once he believes it has arrived, all bets are off. That is, unless you can give him hope of survival. But at that point, resentment and suspicion are starting to turn into paranoia, and frankly, I'm not sure that he would trust either of us anymore. And speaking of trust, I recommend you think about what I said in my opening paragraph, Martin. The greatest challenge and greatest assets in the subject of years to come won't be technological, but all too human. Don't make the mistake of seeing people as just entities on the spreadsheet, or entries on the spreadsheet. Well, that's interesting. Nope, I can't get it. Can I have some grenades? I want to be a nade, you fucking spammer. Charlie to Amy. So, Amy, 2 ground 0 ops. I looked up Amy Farrow. She checks out pretty much how you'd expect. Good grades. No student loans because daddy's got money. Popular, the classic I'm better than you because I care so much package. Not studying anything even remorselessly useful in the world where you gotta work for a living. She's into the whole activist lifestyle. Always protesting this or that, generally just hugging every tree and saving every whale she sees. Yawn. On average, she signs 2 petitions a week and generally spends half her life sticking her nose in other people's shit. Credit where it's due is she's pretty good at it. Also, she's got a lot of friends who are all into this stuff, and she seems to be real good at getting them coordinated. Kind of makes her the perfect for our purpose. Because if you can talk her into saying what we want, there's a lot of folks who are going to listen. No boyfriend or girlfriend, I don't know which way she swings. Why doesn't she put that on the internet? Doesn't she know that that's what it's for? But there's the family of her. There's that family of hers, looking like she's got a real close tie. So if we need leverage, that's where you'll find it. You may want to make sure she stays on our side, though. Like I said, she's pretty popular with the rest of these people. And if they get the idea she's been screwed over, they just might get pretty mad. You know how these neo-hippie, bleeding heart, hipster types are. Always up in arms about something. Holy shit, I'm glad I'm not in school anymore, Charlie.
sir.
Don't.
Oh, shit. Gotta move. Come on.
That looks like the way I need to go. Oh, can I rewind? Well, I don't know what to do. There we go. Oh shit! Wow, that is not at all what I expected. That is, oh my god, I just got crushed running through there. I gotta streak through there. I think I gotta use my super speed power thing. Oh, I'm too close to it.
Stutters are getting bad. Be shifting back and forth without warning. The time I didn't think it'd get much worse.
But we both know it did.